Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Welcome along to the wilds of Suffolk. I'm out here yet again doing what I do, walking along in beautiful locations, and today is absolutely gorgeous, giving you my thoughts and opinions on things that are happening in the world and the public consciousness. If it's your first time here, welcome. I hope you enjoy what I'm doing today. If you're a returning subscriber, 1,328 of you I think there are today, welcome back, welcome one and all. So today I'm going to do something a little bit different. For those of you who've been here with me for a little while, you would have seen me do a couple of these before, but this isn't to, if you're a gardening person or a vegetable growing person or whatever, you'll understand what I'm doing. If you're not, this isn't a dig at anybody. This is just to show that it's easy for me to come out here and walk and talk and do all these things and not be who I've said that I am. But I want to give you an insight into who I am and a bit of background into what I'm doing and why I'm doing it and all that kind of jazz. And today I'm going to show you what I do with my spare time. I mean, obviously I come out and do some videos every now and again, which isn't very often, unfortunately. I work 7 days, and for those of you who don't know, my job, I'm a chef. It's not who I am, it's what I do. And it requires a massive amount of work for me to do so. I work 7 days a week. Even when I'm not working, I'm working. There's always something going on. And I wanted to give you a sort of a... today is more about showing that regardless of how much time you have, how much knowledge you have, all the excuses that people make for not doing something in response to how the world is at the moment. There's all sorts of things going on. The price of food's going up. All the chemicals that we find ourselves, people spraying all over our food and the air and the water. How do you mitigate it, all that? If you're the average person who works and just tries to keep up with your children, your family life and all that kind of jazz, how do you mitigate all the poison and toxicity that's coming into your life from external sources? Well, you got to start taking some responsibility for your own actions and where your food comes from and understanding your food and being back in touch with the world, which is why I come out to these beautiful places and do these talks, because a lot of us have lost our way in that we don't connect with nature anymore. We don't have any idea where our food comes from. We don't have any connection to the land. And the more we lose that connection, the more we start to worry when things start to go wrong, because we're relying on the wrong people. We need to be working with our local communities. I live in an area that it's all farms around here. Everything's growing around here. Food, as in food that's planted in the ground, other food that eats the food that's planted in the ground. It's the reason for today's video is to sort of give you an insight into who I am, what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, and the kind of space it takes to create something where you can produce your own food. Now, in addition to all the things I'm going to show you, I've got some gardens, I've got my own chickens. I also have water purification. Sorry, my nose is a bit itchy. Water purification, so we catch our own water from the roof. We purify that so we can drink it. We have water purification at home. We have fishing gear, hunting gear. Not because I think the world's going to end tomorrow, but because should things go sideways for any reason, maybe a cyber attack or another virus that just seems to spring out of nowhere between a pangolin and a bat having sex. I was a scout when I was young, a boy scout, and the motto was always be prepared. So I'm trying to prepare myself for not having to rely on the supply chains should they break down, or not having to rely on a government that I don't trust, or having to rely on systems that are in the process of being changed. So I'm going to show you what I've done. We've got some gardens. We have a garden in our backyard that we've converted probably about a third of that into food growing garden. We also have chickens, of course. I also have an allotment, which I'll be showing you as well. A lot of work. But as I say, I work 7 days a week, and a little bit of work each day, or as you can, results in a lot of output, which is what we're all looking for. So as we go through this video today, I just want to make you understand this is I just want you to see what it takes, how much space it takes and what you can do for yourself, even if you only have a little tiny space to work with. I don't have a massive farm. I'd like one. That's my next sort of big purchase, is what I'm going towards. But this video today is more just about showcasing the kind of what you can do with space that you have available. And I'm not even using all the space that I have available. I'm just, as I say, I work a lot. And together with my wife and my children, help me water as well, and doing some weeding here and there. I have some pet chickens that I give all the weeds to. They love it. I've got some pet rabbits that all the weeds go to as well. All of our vegetable offcuts go out to the chickens and the rabbits, or we put them in the compost bins. We're trying to be as self-sufficient as we can be. It's not only a preparation thing, but it's also it's a trust issue. I don't trust the government to supply me what I need, so how can I mitigate that loss, that lack of trust that I have in the systems that we have? But I wanted to bring you through here. I mean, I could have done all the talking in front of the garden, but just look around you. I mean, look around me where I am right now. I mean, it's everything's growing, everything's green, and rather than relying on a shop that's going to charge you whatever they need to charge you to stay in business, you can actually produce things for yourself if you've got enough sunshine. I'm living in the UK, okay? And the UK is known for what? Rain and wind and cold, and not for growing food. But you can. And even if it's just a little thing, a few little things that you can grow, you should. Just to give it a shot. Why not? What have you got to lose? But beautiful spot I live in. And like I say, it is, the amount of time that I have available to do these kind of things is very limited, but I set out to do it because I wanted to prove a point to anybody that no matter how much time you have, no matter how much space you have, you can do something for yourself to benefit your life and know where your food comes from, which is never a bad thing. So I'll sign off here. I'm going to do a little bit of a tour of my garden, show you what's going on, and then I'll come back and do a wrap up a bit further around in the forest after there's going to be a few chops in this video, but it is what it is. It's more about just showing off the gardens and everything and talking about what we do. All right, I'll see you soon. Well, welcome to my front yard. So this is where I grow some herbs and some tomatoes. Got my water butt here where I collect the water off the roof. Got a magnet in there. So down here, I'll turn this around so I can see a bit better. Alright, so down here we've got Italian parsley, growing a couple of plants I bought at the shop, and planted them in this box that I made here out the front. We've got thyme in here, some nice fresh thyme, and basil growing as well. So we've got a few different herbs here we can pull from. And here we've got cherry tomatoes. So I think there's 4 plants in here that have just overtaken. As you can see, there's lots of fruit on here. Under here, if you can see in there. Just try and get there. Yeah, not quite ripe yet, but they're coming up nicely, covered in flowers, you can see that. And I'll take you out the back. What we've got going, I'll go through the house today, so excuse the mess in here. It is usually a tip. So we'll go through the house here and we'll go into the backyard, and you can see what we've got going out here. So more herbs here. This is our rosemary bush. I mean, it's massive. Produces all the rosemary we could possibly use. We've got sage just here, and our other food producing. Hey girls, how are we? So we got 5 chickens. We used to have 6. We had to put one down because she had a prolapse. How are we? Hey, easy. Let me give you a pat. There you go, girls. There we go. So that's the girls in there. They produce an egg each every day, don't you girls? Hey, and they're wonderful little pets. They love being patted. Hey, that's the good girls. They keep down all the insects. And here we have the veggie patch. Well, this is one of them. I'll take you down to the other one after. So this is all carrots along here. As you can see, we've got some peppers growing there. Just step over here. So these gardens are about 4 meters by 2 meters. We built them as a above ground thing. So you can see we raised beds. We put cardboard down to stop the grass from growing, and then built the beds over the top and filled them with mushroom compost. That's what we grow in. That's our growing medium. But along here, this is all carrots. we take the tops here, we give those to the rabbits and the chickens because they love it. And so nothing gets wasted. The potatoes, we've already harvested some out of this garden here. We're eating those as we speak. So these are the early harvest that we're eating now. This is mid season. That's late season at the end there, all potatoes. We use those with the skin on because the skin is where a lot of nutrients are. I'll just climb over the back here. This is our courgette plant, yellow courgettes this year. You can see a couple growing on there. That will be absolutely covered in the next few weeks. Courgettes, we won't be able to keep up. We'll be giving those away to the neighbours. We give away the eggs, we give away eggs, all sorts of things to neighbours. So more potatoes up here. This is about a third of our garden, as you can see, and it produces a lot of food for us, and obviously we can't keep up with it all. More potatoes in bags here, just another experiment we're doing. Here we have butternut squash or butternut pumpkin, wherever you are in the world. We have 5 plants in here. I mean, it's going to produce a lot of vegetables this year. So that's all go. We've got some more potatoes here. We've already harvested some of those. This plant just here, this is raspberries. We've got 5 or 6 plants along there. That will produce quite a lot of fruit this year. We're not quite there yet. A little thing of strawberries here. See if we can find one that's nice and ripe in here. As you can see, there's fruit here. We got a little one here on the side that's nice and ripe. There's the other ones. Oh, here we go. A couple of nice big size ones there. They'll be picked today. This garden here, we have what's called perpetual spinach. So you pick it, pick the leaves as you want them, and it's perpetually growing. So it grows all year round. What we don't eat, the chickens and the rabbits eat. So perpetual spinach gives us more than what we can eat, and we can give some away. This is cucumber. As you can see, there's one just there. There's about 6 on there at the moment, so we'll have some cucumbers off this very soon. But we've got a thing for that to climb up here. So it's a climbing plant, as you can see from the little strings here. That's the things that latch onto the climbing frame. So we tie those around there and let the plant do the climbing. But yeah, this is our backyard. As you can see, butternut squashes everywhere here. I've got some cauliflower and broccoli I'm going to be planting down at the allotment, which is where I'll take you next. All right. Well, welcome back. So I've just brought you down to see my allotment. Allotment here in the UK is a patch of land that you rent from the government, local authorities. This is mine behind me. As you can see, it's quite big, but it's also quite a mess. I work 7 days a week as a chef, for those of you who don't know, and I don't have that much time on my schedule because I work 13-14 hours a day, but I make time to come down here and plant because being back in touch with the earth, which is what I promote quite often, being in touch with the earth, knowing where your food comes from and producing the food that you can eat, there's nothing like it. There's absolutely nothing that can describe feeding your family from food that you've actually grown. Now here, you can see just here on the corner here, we've got a cherry tree. Hang on, see if we can straighten that up a bit. Got a cherry tree here. We get our first cherries. You can see it just there. Needs a little bit of water, which is what I'm down here for. We've got a lot of grass place here. You'll see I've got a little fence just here because I brought the chickens down one day with me to help clear out the patch here. This one here, I'll turn the camera. This one here is a plum tree. That soon will be covered in plums. We'll be making some plum jam out of that. Now, for those of you who say, well, I don't have time in my schedule to do anything, 7 days a week, obviously my wife comes down and helps. She came down and weeded the other day, which was wonderful. But I can't do the whole allotment. So you can see there's a lot of patch here that's all dry grass and cut down grass and things like that. It's a process that I'm having to go through to do a little bit here, a little bit there. This here is an apple tree. Took a little bit of work to get it back to where it is. I've used the worm castings off my worm farm to give it some fertilizer, some natural fertilizer. But you can see it's coming back. We'll have some apples off this here. I've got some compost bins here. These catch some water from the roof of the shed here. As you can see here, I've got 3 gardens cut out, and I've actually got food growing in them all. Right, so these, I'm in the UK. Okay, now in the UK we don't grow melons here because the weather isn't good enough to grow melons. But I am in the process of trying to grow some melons. These are cantaloupe melons, or in Australia they're called rock melons. So we're growing some 1, 2, and 3 cantaloupe melon plants. So if we get some melons off that this year, I'll be amazed, because I've never ever in my whole experience of growing anything have I managed to grow melons. So here we've got some onions, not doing terribly well. This garden was overrun with weeds. You can see the onions are growing there, but very, very slowly. It needs some more water. It's been very dry here, so not ideal. This is carrots in this one. You can see the carrots there. And interspersed there, these other plants are beetroot. So behind me here, there's a few other plants in here. There's some black currants there, also surrounded by weeds, massive amount of weeds here. So that's black currant. Some red currant. We've also got some over the other side. We've got some, I'll come down here, lots of poppies, as you can see. Tall grass, probably snakes everywhere. This is gooseberry, I think it is. This plant here, another apple plant there, and as you can see all those white flowers, you can see all the white flowers over the back there, they're all wild blackberries. So we're going to have a good harvest of wild blackberries this year, and I'll make blackberry jam. But point being, what I wanted to bring you down here for, with growing your own food. Now, I'm not special. I'm just an ordinary guy that comes out and tries to do things and show what I'm doing, because I don't want to be out here talking, and a lot of people talk but they don't do anything, and I wanted to show you that I actually do things. I'm actually growing food, I'm actually experimenting, trying different things. We collect our banana skins, put those in a bucket with water to collect the potassium to water the plants with. Everything we do is trying to get off the grid, to make sure that we're not reliant on these systems that are currently in place that could break down at any point. And as we saw with the first lockdowns, fortunately I live in an area where lots of food is grown. I mean, you can see around me that all this area is all allotments, and everyone's out here growing their own food. No, it's a wide variety of stuff that people grow. But I wanted to do this video just to say to people, it doesn't matter how little on time you have, or how much area you have to grow in. You can make something, you can grow something, you can do something. You're back in touch with the land and back in touch with where your food comes from by doing these small things. So hopefully seeing this kind of stuff inspires you to do a little something for yourself, even if you're just growing something in the window, some herbs in the window or something. Then it gives you that connection to the world that we're living in, and your food, and you know where your food comes from. That's really important, and we have to really get back to understanding that's what it's all about. So I'll leave it here, and then I'll pick it up when I get onto the next section. Welcome back. I hope you like what I just did there, all those videos showing you what we're doing. Now I'll give you a little bit more of an insight into how we're doing what we're doing. Now we've planted the back gardens. They're supposed to be no dig above ground gardens. So basically we had lawn and stuff growing there. So all we did was we put cardboard boxes down on the ground, which cuts off the light to the grass, and eventually it will kill it. So we put cardboard boxes down. We built a garden structure over the top of it, out of old pallets. So we pulled pallets apart and screwed them back together again, and created a garden on top of the cardboard. I got about 4 tons of mushroom compost delivered to my home, and we filled those gardens with that. Now, it was only about 1 foot deep, I think, but over time the cardboard starts to break down, and eventually the plants will grow down through the cardboard into the soil. But until then, you have a good nutrient-rich base to work from with the mushroom compost, which we've done. But in addition to that, if you go back to my earlier videos, I did an experiment where I took a rare earth neodymium magnet and magnetized the water that we were watering the seeds with. I did that with some sprouting seeds. We magnetized the water we were watering with a neodymium magnet to see if that had any impact on the plant growth. Now what we found, I've done some reading on this, and I reported that in an earlier video when I did the experiment, where the magnet helps, it activates a hormone in the plant called auxin, AUXIM, I think it is, auxin. It's a growth hormone in the plant. It's naturally activated by the magnet, and when you water your plants with magnetized water, you have a 30% better yield on your crop than you would if you didn't. So I watched an episode today of Josh over at Red Pill Project. Josh and Vince over at Red Pill Project were talking about the chlorinated water and those kind of things. So we catch the water off our roof, the rainwater, in what we call, what they call here in the UK, water butts. It's a water tank where the water comes down off your roof, you know. In those tanks we have a neodymium rare earth mineral magnet. So when we use those tanks of water to water our crop, we're actually using magnetized water. Now, I'm also working on a product I'm not going to talk about just yet, to do with magnetizing water, which I think should be a bit of fun, should I can get onto the market. We shall see. More about that in the future. But little things like we put our banana skins in water. This is a new thing we're doing. It's because the potassium leaks out of banana skins, leaches out of banana skins into water when you soak them in water. And then when you water your plants, that leaches back into the soil. So you're adding potassium back into the soil by doing nothing other than soaking banana skins in the water that you're using. Pretty smooth. We also have, well, we've got to get some new worms, a worm farm. The worm farm produces what they call worm tea. It's the worm poo and wee, worm castings as they call it, and the liquid that comes out is worm tea. It's very high in nutrients that you want to give to your plants. So we fed our compost bins with food and weeds and other things like that. We fed our worms with food offcuts. And it's all a big cycle of continuing to use things that would ordinarily go in the bin or wasted, but we're using it for the benefit of growing our plants. In addition to all that, we have sprouting seeds. We have sprouting seed containers. As I say, we have chickens, so we collect up all the chicken waste, all the poo. That goes into our compost bins as well. Over time, that will be used on the garden. But it is, the entirety of this video, what I'm talking about today and what we're doing, is all about being back in touch with nature, producing our own food, showing our children where food comes from, how long it takes to produce. It's about 3 months turnaround from planting to harvest. Some of the crops, some take longer. We want our children to understand what it takes to grow food, where it comes from, how long it takes, why it shouldn't be wasted if we buy food or if we consume food, and also how to cook it from growing something, from planting a seed in the ground to going out and cooking it, to going out and grabbing it. So you saw my herb garden where we have herbs all over the place, where we use fresh herbs. So I take my children to the garden and say, okay, we'll pick some potatoes, we'll pick some courgette, we'll pick some of this, we'll pick some herbs, and let's make dinner out of that. And we have a connection to the ground and a connection to the land that we've grown it on, and the children can understand more about what it takes to produce food. Now, hopefully you've enjoyed this today. I mean, it's not everybody's cup of tea to grow food, and we're about food, but for me it's really important. It's one of the key pillars of my life, because I've been involved in the cooking industry for 35 years of my 50 years that I've been here on this reality. And part of that journey, 35 years of that journey, recently I've come to realize that everyone's allergic to everything. Like in the past 5 years, I would say, everyone's developed allergies to everything. And allergies, bullshit. So a lot of people just follow trends, and like everyone's allergic to gluten now. Apparently, 5,000 years of eating it, all of a sudden everyone's allergic to it. Odd, but I think it's just a trend. It's like, oh yeah, I've got a bit of a bellyache. It must be the gluten. Rather than asking if there was any residue left on the gluten or whatever they've eaten after it's been sprayed with toxic chemicals to get a better yield from the crop, or maybe not using good water, or chlorinated water, or whatever. The reason is that people are so sick all the time now and allergic to everything. It's the food. It's the food, it's the air, it's the water. Everything that we come into contact with on a daily basis is making people sick. And small things that you can do, like grow your own food, know where it comes from, or know the people that are growing it for you, will help you understand better about what you're doing and nutrients that you get from your food and how your body utilizes them. So hopefully this has inspired you to do something for yourself. If not, just turn it off or share it, whatever you think is best for you to, with these videos that I make. Share it, don't care. I'm not here to make money, I'm not here to convince you of anything. I'm here just telling you about what I'm doing, what I think, and then you get to decide for yourself what you're doing and what you think. So, hopefully it's inspired you. That's all I can do. So, on that note, go out into the world. Do good and be good. You can change the world with the way that you think, the way that you talk, the way that you interact with the world, and what you're sharing with the world. So do that. You can make the world a better place. But in the meantime, look after yourself, look after each other, and hopefully you won't have all the problems that people have because you're not having to deal with all the nonsense that they're putting in their food. Hopefully you won't have to do that for yourself. All right, take care of yourself, take care of each other. I look forward to seeing you real soon. Ciao for now.